Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. We've got a special service to celebrate the wonderful ladies that love us.
And then we got some music coming from the worship team. And then Pastor Mark has a special message for this Mother's Day.
We are so glad you guys are here. Let's jump in.
Let praise be a weapon that silences the enemy. Let praise be a weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it arise. Let praise arise. We sing your name in the dark and it changes everything. We sing with all we are and we claim your victory. Let it arise, let praise arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side forever lifts him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, let faith be the song that overcomes the raging sea. Let faith be the song that calms the storm inside of me. Let it arise. Let faith arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side forever lifts him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, this is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you. We praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. We praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. We praise you.
Happy Mother's Day. If we haven't met, I'm Holly, and with me as always is Sam, and we've got some announcements before we get into today's message.
But first, I want to give a big happy Mother's Day shout out to my mom. Love ya.
Yes, happy Mother's Day, Mom. You did a pretty good job, I think.
All right, so next Sunday, we have our community food distribution happening at Metro Ministries. Now, if you have not attended this event yet, I encourage you to do so. It really is a great time.
Yeah, we have so much fun. We put up a hot meal together for the needy and elderly in our community. We are able to pray with them and minister to them. We also provide them with some hygiene essentials and other necessities.
So, if you are interested in serving at this event, go to our website at venice.church/join one or text the word join one to the number 67076 and sign up. And the team is Community Outreach Team. Sign up for that one. Also, while you're there, check out all the other ministry teams we have. I mean, seriously, there are options for everyone.
Yes, and one of those teams is our event support team. So if you're interested in that, sign up because we have an event coming up. So May 23rd is our Family Fun Day that we are calling Welcome Summer, and everyone is invited. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have one service that day at 10 a.m., and then afterwards, we're all going to go out to the parking lot. We'll have fun, games, food, and just a good time together.
I mean, because really, we've been inside for way too long. So join us as we have fun in the sun together. Now, mark your calendars. One more time, that's Sunday, May 23rd. All right, so I do want to switch gears a little bit here and just let you all know. We've been able to do so many good things here at the church as well as in our community, and it's because of your continued support. So thank you.
Yes, Proverbs 11:24-25 says, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." So thank you. Thank you for giving freely. Thank you for refreshing others. It is so clear that this church truly believes in God and the mission of the church. Thank you for your continued generosity. If you would like to give today, you can text generosity to 67076. You can also go to our website, venice.church/give.
All right, so before we wrap up the announcements today, one more time, I want to give a big happy Mother's Day shout out to all the moms out there.
Yes, there are so many different kinds of moms. There's stepmoms, foster moms, adopted moms, moms who just took a special interest in a family. So thank you. Thank you for your love and support for all that we do. We couldn't be who we are without moms.
Couldn't say it better myself. Totally agree.
All right, let's jump into our special service today.
Well, hey there. We are taking a break from our series on Creed just for today in order to celebrate and have a message geared towards and targeted towards our mothers. Happy Mother's Day. And for all the gals out there. And guys, hopefully you get something out of this too. So I know Mother's Day is one of the most complex holidays there is, if we're honest. There's some moms who can't wait for this day. They approach it with excitement. All is good. There's others that it's not so much that way. The day can feel very heavy. They wanted to be a mom and they were not able to become a mom. There's moms who have estranged relationships with a child or children. And so this day can be awkward and some tension around it. There's gals out there who did not choose to be a mom. And this is one of those days where you feel like society and culture kind of labels you as, not quite evolved or not fully woman, and that's not true. There's others who have terminated a pregnancy, and then there's a lot of heavy baggage with that. And there's still others who have lost their mom, and so this is bittersweet. Wherever you find yourself, even if it's in one of those broken places, I want to say welcome home. Welcome to be here, because that's what Jesus established the church for, is where all of us can come together and hopefully find some hope and encouragement. I want to begin by sharing this proverb. It's a popular proverb, Proverbs 31, and it speaks of this virtuous woman who's both a wife and a mom and fully female. And this is what it says about her. I'm going to read it. It's a number of verses, but heck, we only do this once a year. So follow along. Proverbs 31, 20 through 31. It says, she opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes a seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. I'm blessed because I have a mom like this. I'm blessed because I have a wife like this too, that it's super easy to rise up and call them blessed. We need to give honor to moms and to women. I think that this cute little joke of sorts when a boy, pardon me, he asked his dad, he said, Dad, what's it mean to be a man? And his dad said, well, son, you take responsibility for others, and you work hard, and you protect and provide for them. The boy thought about it, and he said, yeah, I want to grow up and be a man like Mom one day. Moms, you do so much. And many times undervalued. Ladies, you do so much. Many times undervalued and unappreciated and hard on yourselves. I was talking to a mom recently who was feeling bad about, feeling like she failed this year and she should have done a lot better, and she had the kids in the home and was being impatient and things like that. And I asked her, I said, are your children alive? And she goes, yeah. I go, okay, then you did good. This last year, don't bring the bar so high. You didn't kill your kids. Well done. You had a good year. Hey, speaking of moms, and this past year, I met earlier with 3 of our moms in our church and just sat down and asked them some questions about learnings from this last year, because it was a brutal year for all of us. But moms and working and kids and all of that, and some of them single, and boy, well, check this video out. First of all, welcome, ladies. We have Leslie Percinello. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
And your 2 sons, Micah and Noah, what are their ages?
Noah is 10 and Micah is 5.
Gotcha. Easy ages.
Oh, yeah.
Giovanna, I know yours. You've got a bit of a distance, right?
Yeah.
Marcus and Pedro and Noah. What's
18, 16, and 4.
18, 16,
I
and
know,
4.
yeah. Huge gap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you guys forget after the 16-year-old? And you decided to do it anyways. Good. Elle, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And then you have 2 beautiful children, Xander and Kaylor.
Yes.
And what are their ages?
Xander is 11 and Kaylor is 9 years old.
Kaylor is 9.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Almost double digits.
It's wild seeing these kids grow. It's like everybody grew way too much during this last year in the pandemic. So we have and are still in one. We're not out of this crisis in a nation and trying to navigate through that in marriages, in relationships, and primarily this being Mother's Day as a mom and what that was like for this last year. I'm going to ask you, Leslie, what was something that was maybe a learning from this last year? Maybe one of the greatest struggles that you realized, if you don't mind. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about that.
Okay, yes, go.
So I think One of the biggest lessons that I learned this year was that I am actually an incredibly anxious individual. Far more anxious than I realized. I think out there, RJ's watching this going, well, duh. But, you know, I learned that that anxiety is something that I actually have struggled with for a long time.
Okay.
And it came to a head when I was working and in nursing school and parenting at the same time. I was working or parenting or going to school every moment of the day.
And your kids were in the house with you too.
And the kids were mostly in the house with us.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And what I learned from that is that the days where I start my day in the Lord are days that went far better than others. Otherwise, the day would devolve into anxiety and stress and ultimately impatience and anger, with, especially with the children. What I learned was that I really need God.
I'm thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of understanding on that being exposed, and great advice on what you're doing for that, the days we get our daily bread with him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leslie. Giovanna,
Yes.
how about for yourself? Anything that stood out for you?
Well, in the beginning was pretty hard. I mean, I have 3 sons, all different ages, all together, sharing a room, doing Zoom meetings. So in the beginning was a totally disaster. It was hard. My middle one, he is super social. He likes to be outside. And now he was struggling to living inside of an apartment, you know, with no friends to play, to talk, you know. And on top of that, I have 4 years old, full of energy, you know. And it's like, oh my God, please help me. Help me. It was a little crazy, you know. I lost my work. My husband lost his work in the beginning. So it was pretty much tough, you know. But after few weeks, few months, we realized that we need God. We need to ask him for help, that we don't have all the answers. We don't know the future, but all we know that we have to trust him. This is our option, you know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we know for sure, that he is with us. He's gonna be with us, protecting us, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever we have to face, we have to trust him, you know.
That's a
And
great word.
things turn around, you know, for the whole family. So we got more involved with each other. My kids were opening their hearts way more than before. In the beginning, like a year ago, to be honest, I was struggle with my older one because he was at school for more than 15 hours a day. And I prayed one day driving. I was like, I need to know him, and he needs to know me more. I want to be his friend and his mom, you know. So I prayed to God that could help me. And after months, we are growing. They are helping me a lot, and we are helping them, you know. So we are learning.
Oh,
It's beautiful now.
that is
Now it's
excellent.
like, go.
You know what's super important about what you just said too is that, I mean, COVID hurt a lot of us, you know, at very intimate levels, and it still is having its effect, but it was also redeemed in that it gave you, I mean, you prayed for more time with your son, and boy, did you get it, because they weren't going anywhere. And so actually, you're the reason we got COVID. God answered, he answered your prayers, and we all had to do this so that you could have to, no, that's horrible, horrible.
I was looking to blame
Cut.
somebody.
Cut.
Now you can, right?
No, that's just neat how the Lord redeemed that and gave you that moment and turned something tragic into a blessing.
Yes.
Elle, how about yourself? What was some of the things that kind of got exposed or learned in your life too during this time?
Yeah, well, what really was just so highlighted is just how I'm so self-sufficient instead of God-sufficient. And I run a daycare, so I'm a surrogate mother, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 5 or 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I found myself so busy with the people who were paying me, but then burned out by the time that my own kids needed me.
I hear you.
You know, and just being short and just, you know, and a lot of tears, just like what you were talking about, because I was like, I didn't have kids to raise them like this, you know, and so they were starting to kind of see like, oh wow. And sometimes my son would say like, do you like the daycare kids more than me? You know, because I was just, you know, always available for them, but not, and boy, did that hurt. And it just really allowed me what you were talking about, prayer, and just starting off my day with a little bit of gratitude, because just all the chaos and the craziness, my kids wanted to sleep with me sometimes because they're like, what's going on? And just starting my day in the morning, just a little quick prayer and a little meditation, just listening to them breathe. And just a rhythm of them breathing and knowing that they're safe, that kind of like just got me to start off my day with gratitude. You know, like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it'll do. It'll do, you know, and luckily I've never been out of work, you know, because we were, what is it called?
Essential.
Yes, thank you.
Essential.
Yeah, we were essential workers because some of my daycare parents were essential workers.
I see.
So I've never had to close down. But especially, you know, being a single mom, you know, already went through the divorce, but trying to prioritize all of that, and then a boyfriend, like so much stuff. But it really allowed me to just kind of like pause, take that step back, and really refocus on the kids and what I'm doing with my life with them.
Well, I tell you, I really appreciate that vulnerability, and just because I think, you know, I can only speak as a dad, but I know moms as well can feel like I have failed here, you know, and I'm not giving them what they need, and, you know, shame on me or whatever, just the pressure. What would you say to a mom out there, whether she's married or single or young kids or old kids, it doesn't matter, they're all children. What would you say to her if she's feeling that, like, I'm exhausted, I'm burned out, I'm not feeling good about my performance this year? You know, what would you, any of you, what would you might say to somebody like that?
I think there is hope. I think no, I'm pretty sure there is hope.
Yeah.
You know, and our hope is in God. He's the only one that can help us, whatever we are facing, and big or challenge, big or small challenge. He's always on our side to help us. All we have to do is give him the control of our lives. Because to be honest, what we are looking now, we don't have control of anything. Anything, you know? So we just have to give it to him. Just give it to him and try to calm down and wait to see how he's gonna work. Because he is working, even though we don't see sometimes, you know, it's hurting us, but he's working, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, have faith, you know, get close to God. He is here, he is real, you know? He is our answers. So.
I'm going to ask you, Leslie, to do this, just to speak to a mom out there who's under it, maybe without hope right now. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what would you say to her? Just go ahead and tell her right now.
Yeah, I would say to give yourself grace. Give yourself the same grace that Jesus extends to you, the forgiveness that he extends to you, extend that to yourself. Remember that perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist.
That's
all.
good. That's great. That's great. Thank you. Elle, anything from you too? I'm going to have you do the same
the
thing.
camera.
Yeah.
To the camera.
That mom
Okay.
out there who needs to hear. She
Okay.
needs something.
Okay, to whoever out there, you're not alone. We've been there before. You know, as they say, like, just do what's in front of you. You know, go easy on yourself. You know, what Leslie was saying, the perfection, it's a 4-letter word, actually. That's what they don't tell you. So don't even try to like measure yourself up to that, you know? And also the biggest thing that helped me was be willing to ask for help. you're not alone. I'm really involved with these group of women that I'm able to call when I'm just like, ah! And someone actually gave me the great idea when I was just over it with my kids. Hey, how about you just make breakfast for dinner? Something that small, and my kids loved it. You know, and dance parties, light candles. Like, if you're in a rut, I've been there, trust me. You can always make your way out of it. You know, so just don't give up hope.
That's great. I tell you, ladies, I'm inspired, and I'm not a mom. I'm lifted up. It's really, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for being open and transparent and sharing such precious pearls of wisdom today, really. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And we'll see you all on Sunday soon.
Yes.
Okay.
And wasn't that good? I mean, it was really, really good. I so appreciate those ladies for sharing their hearts and giving pearls of wisdom to hopefully some of you out there. Listen, parenting in general, let alone as a mom, can be something that leads to an easy burnout. And I want to share just a few thoughts I have this morning that can hopefully encourage us and give us a different perspective when it comes to parenting especially, but with all relationships. John Wooden was being interviewed after UCLA had won their national championship, and the interviewer wanted to ask him about his philosophy that had produced so many great players and so many great leaders. And Coach Wooden, he replied by quoting his own basketball coach, Ward Lambert of Purdue University. This is what he said: "The team that makes more mistakes will probably win, because the team that makes more errors will be doing more and playing harder." We're going to make mistakes. And so here's one thing. You may be tapped, but Mom, you're not trapped. You may be tapped, but you're not trapped. It's easy to feel trapped, because the children demand so much of your time, of your energy. The whole household is revolving around them, especially at certain stages in their life. So you're having to plan as you anticipate their future. It's easy to feel trapped. You only have so much energy, so much time, so much financial resources, and you can go deeper and deeper into burnout if you feel like you're trapped in this thing. So you may be tapped, but understand you're not trapped. God has promised a way out. He has promised a way through no matter what it is we're having to hold on to and deal with in the present, even those precious little darlings who are more like monsters sometimes. So I want to talk about that. What are these? I want to give two things that I think can bring a good perspective, and I want to begin by sharing this. It's a popular children's book. I read it to my kids when they were little. It's called Love You Forever. You may have read it. Again, it's super popular for a reason. It's good. It sounds a little trite, maybe, but there's a story behind this story. So bear with me as we go through this story. I want to share it with you. It says, a mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While she held him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." The baby grew. He grew, and he grew, and he grew. And he grew until he was 2 years old, and he ran around all of the house. He pulled all the books off of the shelves. He pulled the food out of the refrigerator. He took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. Sometimes his mother would say, "This kid is driving me crazy." But at nighttime, when that 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room. She crawled across the floor, looked up over the side of his bed, and if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And when she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." Well, the boy grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew until he was 9 years old, and he never wanted to come home for dinner. He never wanted to take a bath. When grandma visited, sometimes he said bad words, and sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to the zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, the mother quietly opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that boy grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew. He grew until he was a teenager. He had some strange friends. He had some strange clothes. He listened to strange music. Sometimes the mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked up that great big boy and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Well, that teenager grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home. He had a home across town. But sometimes on dark nights, the mother got into her car, and she drove across town. And if all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, she crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of the bed, and if that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now, Mom is getting a little carried away here. The story does get a little creepy with that part, but, while she rocked him, she sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. You see, parents are that way. Well, that mother, she got older. She got older and older and older. And one day she called up her son and said, you better come see me because I'm very old and sick. And so her son came to see her. And when he came to the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. But she couldn't finish because she was too old and too sick. And the son went to his mother and picked her up and rocked her back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And he sang this song, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be. And when the son came home that night, he stood for a very long time at the top of the stairs, and he went into the room where his very new baby daughter was sleeping, and he picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. And the song goes on. Generations, they come and they go. You are born and you will die. The song continues. And that sounds like a bit sentimental, and it is, I know, but there's a story behind this story, which is pretty cool. It was written by an author named Robert Munsch. His life was not a Hallmark card kind of life. He was diagnosed quite young with bipolar disorder. And so he writes about how when he was in the 5th grade, he can remember being depressed, like, I don't think I want to live depressed. And that's in the 5th grade. He was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. Some of you know the agony of that. And then maybe partly to medicate himself, he ended up becoming an alcoholic. He did join AA. When he was a young man, he studied 7 years to become a Jesuit priest. But he found himself, given all he'd experienced, filled with doubts and darkness, he ended up not pursuing that. He got married and his wife got pregnant, and she gave birth to a little baby, but the little baby was stillborn. And she got pregnant again and she gave birth to another little baby, and the little baby was stillborn. And then she didn't get pregnant anymore, and he never got to see or hold those little babies and be a dad. Now, this man, Robert, he became a really good author of children's books. And this little song came into his head. He talks about that, I'll love you forever. And he began to sing that, and that's where the song comes from. It was about his 2 children that he would never get to raise. And then he thought, I could write a story I could write a story that's better than life. I can write a story where love would be stronger than death. Wow. You see, it's a funny thing because when you're a parent, you get this idea, it's just in you, that if you love your kids enough, if you just tell them enough, you could somehow fill up their little tanks, right? And they'd never be anxious, they'd never be afraid, they'd never be concerned. They would grow up strong and confident and capable and marry well and have good families and be contributors and be successful. You hope. But then time, it teaches us that that is just not the case. You walk up the stairs, right? Ready for another conflict, and you get to the top of those stairs and you're like, you just don't have the energy for another conflict. There's estrangement, there's loss that you've known, there's betrayal, there's disappointment. And what do you do when you stand at the top of the stairs and your love that you have is not enough anymore? When you feel like you have failed. What I have to give just isn't enough, and I'm tapped. Friends, that's why we're here. This is a place, the church is a place, Jesus established the church as a place where disappointed and downtrodden people can come to get perspective and to get lifted up and to get comforted and healed by God. We need another kind of love, not just the love that we try to manufacture on our own. We need something greater than what we have. And so I want to give you just two proposals, two ideas, two thoughts that can help us, I think, take us out of burnout if you find yourself there for whatever reason, and to give us another perspective on how to approach God. Here's the first one, though. It's talk to God about your disappointed heart. Talk to God about that. What's in our heart has a way of leaking out. It gets exposed, and it usually doesn't work so well when it leaks out. And sometimes people think that the church is supposed to be this place that we're supposed to manage our outsides. We try to hide it. Churches where strong, healthy people who look good and have it together and right marriages and right finances, and there's no alcohol problems and there's no argument problems or no estrangement problems, and that's what church is supposed to be looking like, and so we clean up on the outside. And it's entirely opposite. We want you to be open with God and open with others about the disappointment, about the hurt, about the frustration. Bring that to God. Grieve it. Talk to Him about it. He knows you're going through it, and He is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. So don't hide that part and tell yourself that you just have to somehow get out of it and cowboy up. Talk to God about the grief and about the disappointment that you're feeling. We can bring that to God. Embrace that this is the only life you have, but part of embracing that this is the life you have, and you got to do what you got to do to get the most out of it, part of that is being able to go to a God who lets you be as you are and cares about what you're going through. But here's the second thing. And this is really important. This may land on you well or it may not. You may get this or you don't get this, but I'm going to share it anyways. And that's this. Don't base the well-being of your heart on the outcome of someone else's life. Not even someone you love, not even your child. Now, I know that sounds heavy, but it's true. I remember hearing it many, many years ago that the way a mother's heart works is a mother can be no happier than her least happy child. And while that sounds tender, I've got to be honest, I really hope that's not your mantra. I really did. God, who loves us more than we can possibly love others, does not run the universe that way. And thank God He doesn't. He doesn't say, well, as long as there's one rebellious or one my creation is making bad choices or is in pain or doing whatever else and they're going down this road, I cannot be okay. I'm going to enter into that misery. Empathy is one thing. But being miserable because of the state of another person's misery too is entirely different. You don't want to live in a universe with a God who is miserable, that's for sure. And this is the thing of how it relates to parenting. I was reading something earlier that said we've done a real strange thing in our day, and we have taken the word parent, which is really a very good and wonderful word. It's a wonderful noun, but we've made it into a verb. We talk about parenting. How are you parenting? How am I parenting? How are you doing? Did you parent well? And now it's a verb. Are you parenting badly? And we put this huge outcome on our kids. You know, parent is not a good verb. It's a great noun, but it's not a good verb. God never does that. He doesn't base or look at his own existence based on how his children are doing. Now just think about this. Stay with me on it. He doesn't say, well, my kids are doing badly and so I must have guided them badly. My kids are they're in this kind of a situation, so I must have guided them wrong. Maybe they would have benefited from an idol or something like that. Listen, here's the thing. We want to, again, empathize with our kids, with people. But when it comes to my children, I can love them. I do love them. Will I mess them up? Absolutely. Why? Because I am a sinner. Because I have failure inside of me just like every one of us does. So is there some kind of formula where if I just did this right and I just did this right and I just did this right, then they would grow up wise and strong and confident? I'm telling you, no, there isn't. There is no formula like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have done this wrong. Look, here's the bottom line. There are wise principles to parent by, to live by, and there are foolish choices that we can make. There is no formula. There is wisdom and there is folly, but there is no formula. If I have a child that is miserable, I hurt for that, but will my misery make them any less miserable? No. This is what's so misunderstood. Just to be clear, I want to give you a sentence that I heard somebody else give at one time on this concept, on this thought, so that you understand this. Here it is. I have it up on your screen. Love does not mean putting my personal well-being in the hands of my least emotionally healthy relative. Yeah, that's a big one. I want to read that again. Ready? Love does not mean putting my personal well-being in the hands of my least emotionally healthy relative. I do not mean for that to sound callous at all. Empathy is a very good thing. It's a necessary thing, absolutely. But I'll tell you a little secret. You're going to be a much better mom or dad or husband or wife or coworker or friend when you have your hope and your joy and your sustenance that is tied to God, who is unchanging, as opposed to how everybody else is doing. You will be there for them in a much better way if you are getting your strength and your joy and your hope from God. I want to close with these two verses because they're a promise to everyone out there who has been suffering from burnout, who has been suffering from feeling like they're just not doing enough. I want you to hear this as a promise from God. Here's the first one, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not faint. That is a promise for those who are trusting in the Lord. Not waiting for things to change, but trusting in the Lord. Here's another one, Psalm 46, 1 and 2. It says, God, you're such a safe and powerful place to take refuge. You're a proven help in time of trouble. More than enough and available, always available whenever I need you. So we will never fear, even if every structure of support were to crumble away. Man, that's powerful. That's somebody who has proven the legitimacy of God, that he is able to be your all-sufficient one. He wants to, he cares. Bring that disappointed heart to God. Bring that grief to God, but understand he's a God that can not only just have compassion on you, but can lift you out of it if we are trusting him. And that's a powerful passage of scripture, but really, to be honest, just reading it doesn't change us, does it? You may have heard that one before. Here's what I want you to know. God is immediately available to you right now. Right this moment, wherever you are, wherever you go, whatever time of the day it is. You don't have to ask him for an appointment. You never get a busy signal or anything else when you're calling on God. In fact, what does it say to this? In Psalm 46:10, that chapter goes down further, and it says, surrender your anxiety, be still, and realize that I am God. Man, I love that. Surrender your anxiety. We've all got them. Surrender it. Lord, I give it to you. And be still and realize that I am the Lord. Man, when that realization hits you, that he is big, he cares. He cares about your children even more than you do. He cares about your well-being, because your well-being also determines how you can be there for other people. So surrender your anxieties to him, and not someday, don't think about it. I want you to do that right now. Lord, I give you my anxieties. Lord, I give you my cares. Really, just join me in that. Lord, I give them to you. Whatever they are, tell him what those are. Lord, my fear, the shame I have over times I have failed, my weakness, God, my selfishness, Lord, my anxieties, whatever they are, Lord, I surrender them to you. And then, my friend, be still. Take some time to just be still in his presence. And he says, and know, realize that I am God. I care. So even the rest of this day, have some time where you allow God to be resized in your mind. I pray you be blessed this Mother's Day, not because everything is always going so good, but you be blessed because the one who is so good has such favorable thoughts towards you. Let me pray for you. Father, thank you for this day. I pray that you would bring comfort to who needs comfort, wisdom to who needs wisdom, strength to who needs strength. Lord, celebration to that one who needs to celebrate, Lord, and joy. I thank you for moms. I thank you for the women of our world, Lord, the masterpiece that they are. I thank you for husbands who see them and fathers who see them, God. Help us, Lord, to model for a world who hasn't had that good model, to model what the love of a heavenly Father is like. And we give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, we're going to go to a wonderful song right now called Look Up, Child, and then I'll be back in just a second.
Where are you now when darkness seems to win? Where are you now when the world is crumbling? Oh, I hear you say, look up, child. Hey, look up, child. Hey, where are you now when all I feel is doubt? You're
Told you that's a great song. I love that song. Hey, listen, I just want to remind you that our service times, both in person and online, are the same now at 9 and 11. Again, if you're watching it online, you can go back and watch it anytime you want, but 9 and 11. And so we welcome you also, as you feel comfortable, to join us in person. We practice safe distancing. People are wearing their masks. We've got a room in the courtyard, room in our community room in the auditorium. I love seeing all the new faces that are coming here as well. But for our online audience too, thanks for tuning in every Sunday. I appreciate it. I am hoping that these are a blessing to you. God bless you guys and have a great week.